believe in God, but also other people, they believe in other things, maybe sciences. However, even God himself has put us in front of us choices to make. The good choices and the bad choice. What brings death and what brings light. And some people will say, this just is happening because it was meant to be. Sometimes if God can respect your choices, believe me, the devil also will follow. I was about to say hallelujah. But I'm not obviously the right person to preach here. We have our lovely pastor here. I'm simply launching a book. I know there are people who have already covered the book from front to back. Pamela is one of them. Sarah is one of them. There are many people, others also, who are telling me that we are about to finish it. But every time I see a lot of comments and beautiful ones. Sometimes when they speak, I can see the eyes are about to cry. Then I said, wow, I'm the main event on this one. So I would like to officially launch the mapping of choice to you. So if you want to read it, whenever you happen to have a problem or you want a talk, please, there's my website on it. There is also my number on it. We can talk. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just made the wrong choice. I just made the wrong choice of going out untimely. Yeah, thank you very much, Malik. Thank you, Fred. Yeah, I think we now all have a glimpse about the book, what the book talks about. Personally, ku giti cyanjye, this book and working with Fred to prepare this whole launch, byatumye, I think, before everything I do. Because he tells me, the book tells me, I am my choices. So you can tell, this book is not just any book. It can bring some sense of fear and some control in your life. So, but everyone who knows Fred, his life is just like that. You know, you will just work with him, bond and chill with him. But during that process, you will just try to, you know, as Malik said, you will just see yourself in his life, and you're like, okay, I think he does this very well. So, as Malik said, he is the right person to write about choices. So allow me to welcome a moderator for a panel session. Allow me to welcome Pamela Mudachikwa. And our author as well, Mr. Fred Mugisha. Pamela, I give you the reins for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Davis. Good evening, everyone. So you have chosen not to talk, not to... It's a choice, yeah? All right, welcome to the evening of mapping our choices. So whether you like it or not, so this is the evening. You're going to face your past, your present. You're going to figure out how your future is going to look like, right? Are you ready? Are you ready? You don't look ready. Huh? Of mapping your choices. All right, my name is Pamela Mudakikwa, and I am actually going to moderate this interaction with the author. First of all, congratulations, Fred. Can we give him a big, big, big round of applause? Right, you're the star. You're the star of this evening. And I would also like to thank you all, friends, family, teachers. I heard we have friends, teachers among us. everyone to this evening. Thank you for being here. By the way, you should tell your friend, your neighbor, thank you for making the right choice to be here. So you can choose not to tell them. Yes. Yeah, you chose to be here, right? You are not here by accident. Maybe Fred will tell us more about that, because he said something like unconscious and conscious choices. So we will get to know more about that. So this session is going to be about questions, because we want to learn more, we want to understand more what this book is about. Yeah. So disclaimer: we are not going to cover the whole book, because we want you guys to buy this book. Go and read it. Yeah, actually, when Malik was talking, I was like, Malik, can you stop? Can you stop? Because I was afraid. I was like, okay, these guys are not going to buy the book, because Malik is saying everything in the book. So we are going just to touch a few things. The rest, you will find it in this book. So Fred, Malik has introduced you as an architect by profession, or by, I don't know, practice, or... so why would an architect choose? Did I use choose? Yes. Choose to write about choices. Why is it important? You could have, written about real estate business, how to build a house or how to design a house. Why choices?
Thank you very much. If I can just make a small correction, Marik is a very busy person, so I don't blame him if he confused an architect and a civil engineer, so I take it.
Most of us actually confused, so we don't know who is who.
I simply build houses.
Okay, who are you?
I am civil engineer by profession. I do construction. I provide construction services in a company called the Alpha Line, which is also my company. Yes. Then to answer your question, you asked that how would I write about choices? Well, if I write about houses, I will have a very small audience. That was a joke also, but it's okay. So, and also, to me, when I'm multitasking, I feel alive. So, civil engineering only, maybe it's not challenging me, but I'm not flexing any muscle here. Please forgive me. But I like to agitate the pot by adding up other things. Normally, writing about the choices, it came as a product of my reading culture. So it's a part of a hobby.
Because, this life is full of a lot of things. So why did you choose? How did you get that inspiration to write about choices? Why is choice an important part of our life?
I would say, hold on, it's about to go down, but in a good way. Why did I choose choices? It's because when I wrote the first manuscript, it was purely scientific, and the audience will be very little. It will also be very boring. So I shared to my few friends. They said, how about you filter it? And then you try to reduce the intensity, and you try to make something people pick. Because I was mainly speaking quantum mechanics or biology or something. And then I found that what else is something fundamental in everyone's life? Something I can write on, and either I read it now, either I read it in 10 years, you will simply feel that you are being addressed. Same way, like when you look into sciences, the elements that are composing stars, they are also composing me. If you break me down, you will see some phosphorus. And then when you go in the star also, you will see phosphorus. So we are somehow practically, it's like phosphorus is a fundamental particle. I mean, it's an element which is made up of fundamental particles. If I try to break that down to you, it is like whatever you find, and then you find it in pig maybe, and in humans, and then in the plants. That means that thing is fundamental, we may say. I will not, talk about their names. Maybe they are boring. But I said, okay, if I write a book, I would like a person, someone who is growing up, someone in school, someone in business, to use it as they translate whatever they want to see in life, and then they have to resonate with the book. So on the list, there was time, there was life in general, there was a lot of other things. But choices, it was somehow fundamental, and it was somehow what makes up life.
By the way, talking about that, you heard Fred saying, trying to break that down for you, yeah? Because you should get ready to meet a lot of science and technical terms and, why that style, yeah? When I was reading this book, I was like, okay, so this is science, because he's talking about how computers are structured and how they function. And on the next page, he's talking about environment. The next page, he's talking about the stars. So how were you confident that readers will understand your metaphors and all things you refer to?
Thank you. People give what they have. I could not afford to. Sorry, I could not afford to use another style. So, why the style? That's a very good question. Around 2019, I found that I had something called the midlife crisis. The midlife crisis, let me just explain it in a different way. I used to pursue sciences and philosophy, and then there was a time I was sitting down, and then Aristotle could not pay the bill. And when I also look back, and the mathematical formulas were not also covering my rent. So I was like, maybe I am climbing a wrong ladder. That's why it's called the midlife crisis. You are climbing a ladder, and then when you reach the top, you find that it was a wrong ladder. And then you have to come back down, and then you have to climb again. So why am I introducing that? It's because that was even the time I shifted in, let me say, business career. I wanted to try to see how things work outside. So
this book, yeah? Where are you? Where are you? 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
They're not here, maybe. They're not here.
Okay, I was asking who in this room has already read this book? Full. Hey, some people are hesitating.
Maybe not fully.
Yes. Oh, okay, maybe not fully, yeah. All right, so I just wanted to invite you to share your favorite part of the book, if you allow. So after my next question, protocol should be ready to pass the microphone to whoever raises the hand, yeah? If you want to share your favorite part, if you're ready, if you're prepared. Otherwise, Fred, when I first read or heard mapping of choices, I want to tell you what came to my mind. Some of you have watched detective movies, right? So that this thing, detective, baba bafite gushushanyaho ibintu bahuzahuza kanaka yaciye hano neho niba baramurashe ubwo isasu ryaturutse aha murabibona. You have seen that the detective chart. So that's what came to my mind. I was like, okay, I'm going to map everything and try to connect what led to what. So I want to take us back to our past and then explain to us what it means to make conscious and unconscious choices.
Thank you very much. That's my favorite question also.
Oh.
I entertain it most of the time because every time I'm still learning about it. So let's assume that, just be with me a few minutes. Let's assume that this table, the circle of this table, it is the boundaries of my experience. That means whatever I passed through, my mistakes, whatever I made good choices, everything is here, which means I'm also here. Outside the boundaries of this table, whatever there does not interest me, and it's even meaningless because you don't know it anyway. It is like you are here and someone with a strange name is dead. It's not attached to you and you don't know it, so you don't know. So which means it's something outside your circle of understanding. So I would say, whatever inside here, it is conscious to you, which means you are aware. You are aware of that. The environment, the people around you, the choices you make. So also, even if it is like this, some of the choices we face that are connected in a way as human thinking, we cannot fully stretch and connect everything backwards. So what I want to refer to is every day and whoever we meet in every life, there is always a room to improve. There is always a challenge to expand our boundaries of awareness. Because I may do something right now, and then I keep doing it for straight 1 year. Because no one knew what I was doing, and in my own understanding, in my own circle of understanding, that thing was right. But in reality, it is very wrong. Maybe it is even something which kills me. But I did not know. So I will face the consequences. That means I was unconscious or I was wrong. So what I want to refer to is sometimes we make choices consciously and sometimes we make them unconsciously. Here, if I refer to unconscious choice we make, I may say either those choices we make without fully understanding them, or there are shadow of our wrong understanding. I don't know whether I'm trying really to get it for you.
It's okay. The Holy Spirit will keep explaining. All right. Thank you, Fred.
Again, let me just use another metaphor maybe.
Another one.
Yeah. Let's assume that this bottle is half full. We can all see it. If I drink the water and it is half full, let's assume it is like that. So, and also assume that every understanding you have, it is half of the bottle only. In a human understanding, we don't like things we don't know. And if we don't know it, we are afraid, and sometimes, because of the human weakness, we want also to feel that the bottle has to be full, no matter how wrong we can add into. So we will be spoiling our, even the little we had. So assume that the half full, the bottle, assume it is the conscious things you know. Another one was unconscious. But there is also something else we call subconscious mind, which is the powerful one, and you will see it well explained in the book. If I try to go through it, it may sound boring to you by now, but believe me, as you chew down a little bit, it will be very nice for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to see whether we have someone who would like to share his or her favorite part of the book. In the meantime, okay, we have a hand at the back. Protocol, yeah.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
Happy New Year. Nitwa Mutangana and I'm an avid reader. So I got lucky to read this book in my 20s. So for the youth, I highly recommend, and I'm going to share my favorite part of it. I don't remember the chapter. I would just read thoroughly. It's page 47, in case you want to quote it somewhere. It reads, "There is something which happens more often, or it has happened to you once. How do we choose to leave something hanging without doing anything about it but to wait, which can provoke a state of thinking that leads to a paralysis state of life? When you approach life in this manner, you tend to have this thinking that everything has some sort of order in itself, much perfectionism. And instead of working to bring forth that thing you desire into existence, you believe that if God wants it that way, it would have already happened, or it will happen at the right time. That thought, including God, is very valid, but how rightful is your part to wait for God? Augustine of Hippo once quoted that God has promised forgiveness for your repentance, but he has not promised tomorrow for your procrastination. And this hit me so hard. This kind of thinking can be good at some point to ease your burden, but you have to buy this truth that life is not a set of random occurrences, but rather as a predictable formula of conscious free choices that can be modeled and shaped to create the life you want to experience and enjoy on a daily basis. So in simple words, it reminded me when I was in high school. Allow me to speak it in Kinyarwanda.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a friend. She used to say, sorry. So this friend back in high school, she used to say, yangaga kubyuka ngo ajye muri prep ya mu gitondo. Nanjye narwaraga sinesite. None yajyaga mbona mbyutse ngiye muri preps, yajyaga baza. Atari ku bundi buri mu biki. Icyo uzaba cyo muragendana. Iyo uryamye uracyorosa. Niba ari agataro uzagatwara. So just sleep. And when I read this book, specifically this chapter, it reminded me of that time, and I read it fortunately, so I have a lot to change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mutangana. That's very powerful. Yeah. Actually, we come to that. She read the book in her 20s. Some of us, we are reading it in our 40s. I didn't say I'm 40, sorry. But for some people, maybe Fred will tell us if for some people it's too late, or if we still have a chance, to change the way we make our choices. Do we have someone else? Hey, okay, all right. Protocol, kindly help. Yeah. We can have two more.
Yes. Hello. Thank you very much. First, I want to say you are very beautiful. Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
For you, I want to say I'm sorry. Yes. I did not read yet your book. I want to ask you, maybe it's a little personal. Is this book is intuitive book? You write it upon your experience in life after the crisis of 40, or did you read research about this phenomena maybe? And how do you connect all of this to faith, actually? Like, it seems like maybe you felt it was not enough and you looked for, you said, another ladder. Maybe you can explain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I had that question on my list, actually. So Fred, first of all, how many authors and mathematicians and whoever did you quote in this book? You don't remember?
I did not count, yes.
How many were quoted, Malik? Like 20, 30? Yeah. So please.
If I can repeat the question to see if I get you right, is the last one was how it connects to faith, to my faith, or if I lose it as a leverage because I could not find enough faith. The first one was again, sorry? Oh, okay. Okay.
Is it related to your own experiences?
Sure.
Yeah.
I can answer it. There was a time around 2020. I used to read and admire a lot of people in the past. Maybe St. Anselm or St. Augustine of Hippo or Aristotle or Pascal, a lot of them. So, and also I used to have friends around. They used to come and ask me questions. So to answer them, maybe I sounded very smart, and if you are here, I'm so sorry. Because I was only using the words of the people I used to admire. Let's say you ask me about light, and then, whoa, you are dead. I use Einstein. And then I break you down. So the time came, and then I found that I was very empty because I did not have any conceptual understanding of my own. I was simply somehow imitating and using other people's. So I made a pact to myself by saying, how about I stop reading now? all those books, and how about I try to observe, because the tax system I used to read for the Westerns were not even working in Rwanda anyway, so I was seeing that some of the things were not matching. So I stopped reading those people, but I had a lot of them in me, so I was using their work, which I admire, as tools to try to craft my own understanding. So the book came as a product of my own observation. As I was saying, that I also preferred to share it from the force of my friends. At first, I did not want to share it. It was simply my tool, my referencing things to use as I'm thinking. So if I can answer your first is, it was intuitive, or also from my experience. The second one, which is also the one I like mostly, because I did it intentionally not to include the idea of God in the book, because I like when Thomas Hobbes said that a little science leads to atheism, and if you read much, you will come back to God. So also Immanuel Kant said that he had to leave some room of faith in order to pursue his sciences. So when it comes to the book, it's not a leverage of my own understanding, but it was something like I was crediting a lot of things to God, even the wrong things, which are definitely my consequences of my choices. And then I came to find that at least there is also my small play. Though I am a believer and I'm a Christian, but I also have a part to play. How about I highlight it to myself? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for the questions and for the compliment. Thank you. So, yeah, now the floor is yours. You may raise your hand because you want to share or to ask a question. Yes. Microphone, protocol.
Thank you so much. I'm a proud sister. I'm Fred's sister, if you don't know.
You are a star too, yeah?
Yeah, as I was reading this book, I got a chance to finish all the 8 chapters. As I was reading it, I was even testing him, like, I feel like I'm talking to him. Because if you know him when you are reading it, you feel like you are talking to Fred. And what I liked most, there are 2 different chapters, the butterfly effect and also the super brain, how our brain is very powerful, how we can use it. But also another chapter, chapter 5, where we say, which is called a sleep in everyday time, a sleep of time in everyday life. There is this saying where he wrote, without taking care of yourself, life can hand you a bill due to your personal lack of limits in your eating habits. Then I was like, this is why most of us, we end up going to the gym when we are already overweight, where we are in the obesity phase. And I was like, I struggled to lose weight, and I went to go on a diet. Then I was like, this is a result. Fred is speaking to me, this is what happened to me. And also, it's not about only our eating habit, it also happens in our everyday life. If you are doing a job, if you are in a position, and you're always, like when you know you're supposed to be doing something, but you feel like, oh, I will be doing it later, or I'll be doing it. Some of us or some of our colleagues, we see them getting like some resignation letter or some letter terminating their contract because of their lack of the limits or the lack of interest they had on when they had or the first time they got that job. So as a young people, young generation, for me, this really hit differently. It's not only our eating habit, but it also helps you to reflect on our everyday life. If you are doing something, are you really doing it with all your heart? Or you are just doing it for the sake of, like, at the end of the month, I'm going to get paid? So I think it also says, this clearly shows the outcome of a choice in a period of time. At the end, you find, like, if you are, for example, if you are working on a report and you put all your efforts, and you at the end of the day, you get to see the results. Like, you feel like, oh, I get here because I worked so hard to get this. And it also applies in our Leo life. if you know you are worked so hard, it's like raising a child. You are a proud parent, you see, like, you start to see the fruits of what you did, and you'll be like, usanga ababyeyi bo babyumva cyane bavuga ati ni umwana wa kanaka ukumva niwo they are proud, in your pride by fat. So as young people, I would recommend read this book, get a copy, ndikwamamaza. Get a copy because it has got everything you need. Even if you are a parent or if you are just single, it's really going to help you to map your choice in this life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Time is not on our side, but protocol, MC, if you can help me, make sure we have all the questions asked and all the favorite parts shared.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kachizi. I'm reading page 12. And then after, I will explain why it spoke to me and why I think it's very important for youth to read this book and buy it, of course. The page 12 says, let us imagine that you kept analyzing the patterns and you found the big why. Like why you did not make it at school or in your previous relationship. You got to know the why the bad habit is still in your life, and you can obviously see that you kept feeding it for the past 5 years as the fire burns high when you find it more logs. This is an interesting small window to grasp the reality of the daily life by paying attention to the small choices we make every day. We can take back our control, the balance, the clear vision by identifying your priorities. I don't know if everyone in this room knows anything about Enneagram, but for me, I'm a creative, I'm a visual artist, and I am Enneagram 7. So Enneagram 7 tend to know how, they are creative, they know how to make a lot of things, and they find themselves like doing everything. Like you can be a tailor today, tomorrow you are painting, after tomorrow you are a poet, and then you are singing, and then it can be a lot, because if you don't take the focus for your life, you find yourself not being able to master anything. So I knew how to do a lot of things, but during the COVID time, I took time to sit and reflect on my life, think like, what do I really need to focus on? What matters most? And then I decided to keep doing the visual art and curate exhibitions. But many people call me for different things, and then I'm like, no, I'm not going there. So I think it's very important to know what you really want, and this book is really going to help us to map our choices. So to better choices in 2020-2024. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kakizi. Shall we take one or two last questions? Then we come back to our author as we wind up. Oh, this side, yeah? Yes, you're right. One, two questions. There's someone in the front, yeah?
Thank you. My name is Edward Lubaduka. I'm talking as a senior citizen. And apparently to the exclusion of the content. I've not read the whole book, unfortunately, but I have read enough to enable me make some comments. Problems with the senior citizens, they don't normally sing the music that the authors would want to hear. So if I'm a little bit hard, it's not that I have any grudge against you because I don't even know you. I was invited by somebody called Kimfe Mamo, who is currently in Canada. Must be a friend of Fred, I guess. Now, the little that I've read, when you are an author, you're writing for an audience, a very varied audience. This book may land on the table of the King of England. Now, when he starts reading, he's reading in his own language. So, as an author, you have to take a lot of precaution. That's why, for me, I've been a very good, voracious reader. I've never been able to write a single thing. But I write a lot of technical reports, for which I must congratulate Fred. You need courage in order to be able to put your thoughts into print and expect Tom, Dick, and Jane to read it. That's for purposes of gender sensitivity. Jane never used to be there. But in modern times, you've got to be very careful with gender, so it has now become Tom, Dick, and Jane. Now, to the point, these languages we write in are foreign languages. But again, I'm sure you've made a choice. You have mapped your choice to write in that language. Now, the little that I read, I was wondering, I wish I knew Fred, I would have asked, do you have an editor? In the process of writing and publications, there are different roles. Incidentally, none of us can ever correct ourselves. You read a mistake you wrote 10 times, I'll never see it. So I am also wondering at what stage the book launch. Is it already on the shelves, available on Amazon? Maybe I might be making my comment a little bit too late. But just to give a simple example, on page 4, the paragraph is, I think, the third. An entropic mind is a terrible thing to waste. If someone reads, what does that convey to you? If you read it as it is, an entropic mind is a terrible thing to waste. To me, it means the entropic mind is terrible. But when I go deeper, is it true that an entropic mind is terrible? Now, if you give it to an editor, he might rephrase it in a more to actually say what you mean, what you want to mean. Me, when I tried to rephrase it, I was thinking maybe it could have been, it is a terrible thing to waste an entropic mind. It might make sense, but which is which? The first one, you begin to doubt. And then writing is communication. If you cannot communicate, I think you have wasted a lot of time, both for yourself and for the audience or the reader. The other common thing you find in here, the use of the articles they. For people who studied in English and those who studied in French, there is always a battle how to use the they, the article they. Now, if you're reading for an entire audience, you should be able to make sure that at least you have an editor who does a good job, does the T's, we call it dotting the I's and crossing the T's, because you're going public. To me, if it's not too late, it will be very interesting to have an editor. We can never do perfect things. That was my observation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's always, before Fred answers to that, nashaka kubabwira ko izo bazita imvune z'abahanzi. In this case, it's imvune z'abanditsi. So yeah, sorry? Exactly, yeah. So do you prefer to go to answer this first and then take the last one?
I genuinely thank you, because that's what I value. And don't worry, I'm not feeling attacked. I'm learning. Also, what another thing I can add is every writers, they have their own style. And also the publishers or the editors, definitely they want to sell something and they want to, they need some income. So my style was a bit different, and it was not mainly for profit-wise. So I wanted to write in my own language, in my own style. If I write an entropic mind is a terrible thing to waste, that means it's one of the crafts which also linked to another craft in the writing. So it is like you are saying there is this thing and there is this thing, but they should have a standard. It will limit their own creativity. But as you are saying, there are always two types of editing: the grammatical editing and the conceptual editing. The grammatical one, I think when I even read in the Bible, sometimes I see some mistakes when there are editing. So I don't know who to blame. Is it Matthew or Paul? Yeah. But thank you very much, and I sincerely thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, okay, Fred, since you are allowing, all right, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Remy, and I have read the book, and it's good. And I got surprised because I'm a mathematician, and it was like he's talking about what I'm working on, like for instance mapping of choices. Actually, maybe it's better you keep this question and then you answer it after I make my comment on how I read the book. Which came first? Is it mapping of choices or the text, like the title? Like we all remember that the teachers used to give us a text and ask us what can be the title of this thing. And then because mapping of choices, it sounds mathematical, right, actually. I'm a mathematician, that's why. And reading the book, I'm talking about how I experienced reading the book. It's talking about me. I was understanding that in my field, like machine learning, deep learning, AI, you all have phones. When you go to search just one song, the second song on YouTube, YouTube will generate your favorite songs. You don't need to put to search for the next one, because it's like YouTube have been studying your choices. Then I was like, I know Fred, he's my friend. I haven't seen him reading mathematical books, and then it really touched me. And I think the hardest part of Fred writing the book was to make it simple. I agree with Marik. It's like, for him, if you read his first draft, you really can get lost, because a lot of science. Then I really would like to say thank you for making it simple, so that everyone, me as a mathematician, I can understand it in my field. And you can, even politicians, actually, I think, like this, for instance, the struggle of Rwanda, how we have been doing choices. Now, at this present time, we can predict, if we go for this choice, this will be the outcome. That's what. And again, I would like to challenge you. How do you explain it? Like, from present, we can map choices back. Then can that's machine learning, actually. Can that mapping our choices back to 5 years ago, to 10 years ago, can it help us to go from now to 5 years to come? And it's like, because you talked about comparing us with computers, actually what they are doing, from learning the past, they can go to future. And I want to hear your comment about that, but also don't forget my first question. Which came first? Is it the title or the text? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Remy. And this is our last question or questions. And this is the beauty of this book. So it spoke to Sarah as Fred's sister. She could read Fred, her brother. It spoke to Kakizi as an artist. It spoke to Remy, a mathematician. It spoke to me as, well, I referred it to with the detective thing, but I'm not a detective. So it speaks to everyone, right? So if you are going to answer to Remy's questions, also tell us the best way to map our choices.
Thank you. If I can make a joke about Remy, is I never heard him speaking on a mic. So he speaks as he calculates. He speaks and he adds, he speaks and he removes. Joke on you. Thank you. What came first was the concept, not the title. Because there was a lot of things to carry that message, but as you know, it's not like I was that much of a genius to simply write the whole concept and then I choose whatever has to engrobe it. I was in between and then I said, okay, all this flow of thought, what can really convey the whole message, and then boom, mapping of choices. The second one,
This exercise of mapping our choices going backward, can it be applied now going forward?
Get it. If I can try to use a metaphor I used in the book, it is, I'm not trying to say that we should pursue perfectionism or whatever I think has to be. That's sometimes that's not in your reach, that's not in your power, because I do not really live in my own line of choices. I live in that line of choices, but I also live in the line of as my friend of my choices. I'm also living in the line of the government choices. I'm also living in the line of my parent choices. So there is like something skewed, and there's a big something intertwined. So, but how we can extrapolate that? It is in mathematics or physics. Normally, this is not rocket science. It's simply just an example I'm giving. When they're about to shoot a rocket in the, let's say, in space, they don't simply shoot it and then they feel where it has to land. No, it is calculated trajectory. So the moment the rocket leaves the Earth, the end is already known. So in sciences, the end is always carried from the beginning. If we can just try to be right on that. So in life, yes, the end is always open. So you can be anything. That means from the metaphysical perspective, the end is open through a lot of choices we make in life. So for example, me sitting here, if we can try to entertain an idea which is called the parallelism or many worlds theory, it says there exist an infinity number of Freds anywhere. Maybe there is another world where I'm Obama. Maybe there is another world where I'm just gay. Maybe I'm in another world where I'm just dead. I haven't lived yet. So if you can just try to bring that many world theory in today's world, it will be like me sitting here. Maybe I am not the best version of Fred I can be. So I am not in the right place to credit myself that Fred, this who you have to be. And you are really the person you are supposed to be. No. Maybe I'm supposed to be very far. Maybe I'm supposed to be benefiting society in many ways. Not today, not like today. What I want to prefer to is assume one choice we make today, assume it like 1 point. So as it starts, it carries its own end. And also it carries its own causes and effects and consequences. And the consequence of one choice is a birth of another choice. Is something intertwined. So which means, if I can try to answer Remy, is we cannot exactly extrapolate our future in a perfect manner we understand it, but at least we can have to try a control on our choices. You know, sometimes when we are young, growing up, a lot of things run subconsciously, and then we feel like we are running in an imaginary way, and sometimes we feel like it's just supposed to be like that. But as you grow up, sometimes that line is distinct. There's a distinction of that line where now whatever you do, it happens. That means every consequence is an expense to you, or it's a profit. So, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Your last message now. Your last message to young people and to, I don't want to use old people. What can I say? Senior citizens, yes. Thank you. Thank you. So, your last message to young people, like yesterday I was telling Fred, we were discussing about choices and I was referring to Tungweles. And I was like, okay, we were not even supposed to be taught about Tungweles because, Tungwe more is a choice. And that choice carries its consequences. So what can you tell young people today and senior citizens? Also making reference to your chapter 4, that says the person you are today can change in a matter of time.
Thank you. Let me try to use a metaphor which works to everyone. There was a time I was living my life and I was a bit careless. And then I sat down and I thought to myself, wow, if I'm going to live like this, and then all the dreams I have, I found that I may live 4 lifetimes to achieve those dreams if I continue on that pace. 4 lifetimes. So if one lifetime is 8 years, so I was about to need like 320, so which is never possible. So then I said, okay, whatever in my reach I can achieve, but there should be an end I have to carry from this starting. So this message is going to apply to every one of us here. What I can share is every time in every day, I try to live fully. Living fully in what way? Every time I imagine myself on a deathbed. At some point I'm going to be on a deathbed and then they will inject me some fluids. And then all my past will be very visible to me and it will be passing through on my eyes. Assume I will be clinically almost dead. That means I cannot speak, I cannot function, but my brain will be fully working. So if I will be 8 years on my deathbed, God forbid, may God help me to go nicely. But if I will be there, I want to think that at least I'm going guilty-free. Guilty-free. So how is it guilty-free? Because when I try to remember in my 40s or 20s or 30s, I will have to say, it's okay. January 19th, 6 p.m., I lived fully. So I don't have anything like I'm really fighting for myself or to have done. So that message applies to the youth and to even a senior citizen or former youth. So from this age on or from this time on, it's just try to live fully as much as you can.
And die empty.
Die guilty-free.
Guilty-free. All right, a round of applause to Fred. And thank you very much, for your attention, your questions, your contribution. By the way, how do we get our copies? I'm asking for a friend. I'm asking for a friend. So how does my friend get a copy?
As we speak for now, Pastor is saying you buy one. That's a good one. But let me try to help those who wants to buy. You can either go on fredmugisha.com. You will see all the details. If you are local, there will be numbers you can call for delivery. If you are outside, there is a link on Amazon. They can deliver to you. But as we are here, there's just a lot of copies there. Feel free to get one and as you pay. Thank you.
Don't go back book free. Did you get that? Do not go back home book free. So go back home with a book. Thank you.
Thank you once again to Pamela and Fred for this amazing moderation and conversation. All this science, technology, biology, philosophy, physics, I think we could use a short break. In Fred's book, he advises, once you're reading his book, please take some time to reflect on the book. Do not just keep reading and read just to complete the whole book. He really advises that you pause and you reflect. That is what we're going to do. Allow me to welcome Stella Tush for her performance. A round of applause, everybody. A round of applause for Stella, ladies and gentlemen. We are nearing the end of our event. Please, the honey is at the bottom. If you enjoyed the past performances and discussions and conversations, be sure that you're going to enjoy what is coming. Up next, we have Fred, and Fred is going to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Antoine Rutaisire.
I have heard that when people have academically inclined, if you don't speak their titles, it's bad. So it is a Reverend Doctor. Just before I receive him, I would like to thank everyone. Whatever you see here, it is collective efforts from a lot of teams and a lot of advices. That is from the media perspective. I would like to thank 63 for all the work they did. I would like to thank Team Shaba, Team Pamela, Team Lidi for all the things they did. I would love to thank my family for all the things they did. I would like to sincerely thank also Comms Hub, which is represented by Davis, for all the promotion and making this smooth. I would like also to thank the two people here, Malik personally. I learned a lot from him, and thank you for coming. And I sincerely also thank Doctor before I welcome him. The last time we met, it was my first time actually to meet him. I used to follow him on Twitter, on YouTube, and I would take notes. But when he told me you can come to my office, I was surprised. Then I just went there, and then I saw him, and he's just him. And I was very happy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Fred. It's a surprise. Actually, I didn't expect to be called guest of honor because you didn't tell me. Number two, when you say that you came to my office, actually it wasn't my office. That place is not my, I used to work there. So I was just borrowing a space to meet people. So that's why I welcome people, because I'm now idle. So when you retire, you just have time. Doesn't mean you don't do anything. You are busy, but you are also free at the same time. I no longer live under obligations when you have to report at the office, when things go bad and you have to give justifications. So I'm now a free person. So anyway, that's not the major thing. My colleague, senior citizen, said that when we get to this age, we say good things only, and that's what I'm going to do. For two reasons. Number one, when you get my age, you've made so many mistakes in life. Mainly when you have to write papers, you write dissertations, and I remember when I was writing my doctoral dissertation, I got to a point where my French and my English got mixed up, and my American professor was saying, which language are you writing in now? So Fred, if there are mistakes, you are forgiven. Because the good things always tend to shadow even the small mistakes we make. And very often people are afraid of writing because they say, what if I write a bad book? I prefer somebody who writes a bad book than somebody who doesn't even write one. Because when you dare put your ideas on a piece of paper, they become clearer. So mainly you young people who are here, dare write. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be big published author. I one time wrote my story, personal story. It wasn't a biography. A biography is when you really intend it to be a book. But being born here, growing up here, surviving here. I had so many things inside me, and it was like a melting pot, a mixture of ideas and thoughts and emotions. So I sat down and said, I'm going to file these ideas on a piece of paper. So I put everything in writing. So later on, people said, why don't you write your biography? It came out as a book, so you never know what will come out of your writing. So dare write. So what do I say about this book? I read it, and as a student of everything, actually, in high school we studied Latin and sciences, so which means some of the mathematical things are quite familiar. At university I did literature, English, French, and Kinyarwanda, and linguistics. Then later on I did curriculum development, and I did leadership and leadership development. So reading this kind of book is very interesting because you see somebody who is trying to bring all fields together into something. So that's my first congratulation, because it's not easy to bring mathematics and philosophy and psychology and biology, and so you cook all those things together and you make a book which is coherent. That's really an achievement. So I congratulate you on that. Now, going deep into this, because I don't intend to spend the whole night here, I'm sure some of you want to just go out and enjoy the fellowship and or go out. It's Friday. I'm sure I'm going to meet some of you on the street because you are making choices. And unfortunately, and that's why I'm driving, actually that's why this book, I'm happy, a large number of those who came here for this lounge are young people. Because one of my worries is about the choices you are making. Making wrong choices. Imitating the wrong people. And you think you are a superstar because you are dressing like a superstar you saw in the movie. You are not. But it's a choice. So number one, this book speaks about a truth, which is eternal. It says the end is carried from the beginning. Even God says that. He says, I speak the end before the beginning. Which means that's not predestination. Actually, when you speak the end before the beginning, it charts your way. So you know where you're going. That's what we call vision. And the reason why a good number of young people are confused. Have you seen that all over the world? They tell us depression is rising high among the young people. You know why? Because they don't know where they are going. Anybody who has studied literature knows that the day the existentialists wrote that God is dead and man is free, immediately in their philosophy came this idea that life is absurd. And immediately came what they called angst. So there is a kind of anguish you feel. You can't define it, but it's there. And you know why? Because you are going around. For those who have studied literature, there is this poem by bachelor. It's turning and turning in a widening gyre. The falcon can no longer hear the falconer. The center cannot hold. Things fall apart. Choices. So you need to learn to make choices. And you know why this younger generation are suffering a lot? Because we've freed you from making choices. Your life is ready-made. You come in life, you don't need to fetch water. Water is just there in the tap. Bread is in the cupboard. You don't know where to keep it. Milk is in the fridge. Everything is ready-made for you. So small challenges, small choices. And then life becomes boring. Choices. So, point number 2. The book carries lots of explanations. because he speaks about the brain, he speaks about the decisions we have taken in the past, he speaks about the subconscious. That's an explanation. But sometimes we don't take time to explore and sit. You know, one thing I've found about people who get bored, they don't spend the time looking inside themselves. They are scared of looking. That's why you would see most of the young people, they sit always with noise around them. They are scared of silence. Because when you sit in silence, you have to look inside yourself. So you have to make noise to distract you from looking inside yourself, talking to your subconscious, and taking stock of the decisions you have made that are ruining your life. So this is an explanation. This book will give you explanations about some of the things you want to find out. Number 3, this book comes with a challenge. I loved chapter 4. I'm not going to read it, but because somebody else did it before. Chapter 4 is not an explanation. It's a challenge. A person you are now can change in a matter of time. Actually, it should be the person you are now. I even changed the verb should change every minute. We are not static. And every minute you are making decisions, even unconsciously. You choose the music you listen to. You are shaping who you become. Want it or not. The kind of music you listen to will influence the way you think. The movies you watch. By the way, young people, let me ask you a question. I always ask this question to my sons and daughters when they were growing up. One of them used to love PlayStation and watching movies. Another one was watching movies. I asked, are you going to pass an exam on movies? Do you by any chance going to pass a PlayStation test for your future? Because sometimes we spend much of our time in the wrong place. Why? Because we made the wrong choices. And later on, when you get into the future, you look back and say, I wish I had known. So thank you for writing the book. Any young person who will read it will say, I have to make a choice. And that's my last point is a promise. This book contains a promise. If you start now, if you start today, mapping your life, choosing your choices, but first of all, defining your end, then you will become effective. If you read the book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the first habit says start with the end in mind. So if you start the day, start with the end in mind. As a matter of fact, that's what I do. Every year, I spend the first week just mapping what I will do with 366 days, at least for this year. This is 366. When I was a pastor, I used to spend the first 7 days in fasting and prayer, asking God, what am I doing this year? And I've seen the results of that kind of life. And I do the same with my life. By the way, I do the same with my money. My time, my money, my talents. I know what I'm going to do with them. So let me finish this with this question. Do you know what you are doing with your time? How is it contributing to the end you desire? You know, some of you young people, you want to be wealthy. Then you spend time just in bed. You wake up in the morning growling and grumbling and don't grumble. Just don't organize yourself and map your choices. and shape a future, and shape a destiny, and shape an end, because the end is carried from the beginning. What you will be, what you will become, is not predestined by God. I'm a pastor. Predestination is not biblical. No? As a matter of fact, we are predestined for things that are greater than what we achieve, because God says we are God's workmanship, which means we are created with a purpose. And the following words say, created for good works, planned long ago for us to walk in. So your end is already genetically programmed when you are born. God chose who will be your dad and your mom, because he said, it's this woman and this man, when they meet, they are the ones who are going to create this workmanship. So everybody sitting here, no matter what the mirror tells you, you are a workmanship of God. Chef d'oeuvre. So don't go for anything below that. Start with the end in mind. Map your choices, because the end is carried from the beginning. So thank you very much, Fred, for writing the book. And I encourage you, young people, to read it. I'm sure some of you will not buy it because you don't have money yet. But if Fred does a discount, I'm going to give a gift to 3. So, because I already have my book, you choose 3 who you think deserve this book and can't afford it. Or you just come to me and say, Pastor, can I be the one? Okay, let me do it this way. Those who will come first, they are the ones who will take the book. 3. Okay, now we know how. Okay, ubwo babaye abahungu 4, biraterwa n'igiciro. Frederick, reka nshyireho abakobwa 2. Gender sensitivity ntacyo. Ubwo Fred nawe will be a good end. Teach us to finish well everything we start. More so, teach us to finish well our lives. So lead us into our destiny to fulfill the purpose you had when you created us. So bless us all so as to be a blessing to others and glorify your name. Amen.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. What an evening this was. We were lucky, we were blessed, we were honored by your presence. This, we're going to enter into a very, very, very important session. The same way we've shown support and we turned up and we've been supporting Fred since he launched the book, please. Fred is going to take his seat there where the books are, the copies are, and he will be signing copies for people who've bought books. If you've bought a book, please make sure to have an autograph from the author himself. And he has a message for everyone, you know. I myself, I want to say something that happened to me once I started reading this book. A few days back, I lost a friend of mine. No, it's okay. It happened. So I started reading the book and I asked myself, he's a friend of mine. We went to the same high school. So I asked myself, I was grieving, I was mourning, and of course, I went to the burial ceremony, everything that is involved once a person is gone. So I asked myself, the reason I'm going through all this is because I bonded with this friend of mine back in high school. And everyone who was in attendance is because of some choices they made. Believe me, this book is a really, really nice book. And I'll tell you one more thing. It was written by a young person. And I myself, as a young person, do I look young? I hope so. I related to the book very, very much. And I hope everyone who will buy the book will be inspired and helped by the book. This time, allow me to apologize for the technical glitch that occurred as Stella was performing here. But we're going to welcome her up on stage once again as Fred kicks off the signing session and book buying. Please, all the support you've shown us, you've shown Fred, let it continue, and let's see everyone on the queue as he signs. Please be free and talk to people. If there is anyone you don't know in the room, talk to them, ask them their name, you know. It's an opportunity. Make this choice. Let's see what it will yield in the future. Thank you very, very, very much. That was all for today. On behalf of Fred and everyone, thank you for turning up. Really, really, the turn up is very encouraging. Thank you once again to Mr. Malik. Thank you to Rev. Dr. Antoine Rutaisire. A round of applause, please. Perfect. Now, Fred, feel free to take over the seat over there and help people. Stella, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you.